You can build your own models on this platform based on your need. So with that, I will launch the sales and operations planning application. So every application within the NetSuite planning and budgeting consists of a set of input templates where you can upload a bunch of parameters and a set of output templates where you see the outcome of applying those parameters. And everything is neatly set up in workbenches, for example, which allows us to build, say, the pricing assumptions. So this is the first workbench that I'm looking at. And then it allows me to work through the individual areas of my sales forecast, which builds my demand. So that is the second workbench. And finally, I can work with the parameters of my supply plan, like my reorder point, my minimum order quantity, and the supply lead times, etc., which will tell me how much I would need to purchase in order to meet those and how that impacts my inventory. And finally, once we have worked through the assumptions of my demand and my supply, it builds the financials. What impact does it have on my financials? How it builds my gross margin analysis, my inventory positions, my purchases required, and hence my cash flow. So starting with the NetSuite item pricing. So this is a template where, as I mentioned, that we would automate the process to extract all the segmentation information as well as the company setup and the chart of accounts on the books into NetSuite budgeting. So this template, essentially, in the rows, we have the items, and the item category that we are looking at is serums and boosters. I'm trying to create the demand forecast for my Australian subsidiary, and hence the functional currency is AUD. So this is part of the NetSuite company setup. So based on your subsidiaries and functional currencies that they transact in, will set up these templates accordingly. It has also got multiple subsidiary setup, which I will cover in the later part of my demonstration. And these are all different pricing levels that has been set up in NetSuite. But in order to create a forecast for the future, these are editable. So as you can see that I can change these numbers. And for example, when I look at the serums and boosters, these are all the different products within the serums and boosters family. So if I change the product family to, say, hands and feet, so that will show me all the products relevant to the product family hands and feet. So these templates are pretty dynamic in nature. And these are all part of the setup of the product segmentation that we already have done in NetSuite, right? So I can change some of the pricing here, for example, for pink grapefruit body wash. I'll say the alternate price for my demand instead of $9.7 is like $10.74, and I'll save this information. So what NetSuite planning and budgeting does in the background is it multiplies the pricing with the volumes of my demand forecast, and it gives me my gross margin, which I will come shortly in when I look through the demand forecast. I can also adjust my price based on seasonality and based on the pricing that I'm executing. So for example, in this particular template, I have all the products in here in the rows. I will choose alternate price too. And I can put an upside to or downside. My forecasted months is from September FY20 through to December FY21. So I've got the historical data loaded in this system from January 2016 up through to August 2020. So once I apply this pricing assumption to forecast the price in my future, and I can put an upside or a downside, and I can choose a specific pricing assumptions for each and every type of my SKU items within the product families. And then when I save this information, this will update the pricing based on the projected method chosen. For example, if I want to run a promotion in a particular month and I need to change the price for only that month, say in December, I can also change it only for those specific months. And once I save this information, this again gets multiplied with the volumes of demand, and it creates my gross margin analysis. And I can do this level, this price schedule adjustments by individual stores as well, right? So I can say a specific promotion if you are running at, say, Hornsby Westfield. And by the way, I have got all the products and the store information from your website, and that's how I have created all these stores. So I can have a specific pricing strategy for different stores. If I look at retail versus if I look at like a supermarket price. So I can set different pricing strategy by different stores, by different channels, by the different months. And then now moving on to the demand side of things. So here, as I mentioned, that I have data loaded up through to August FY20. As you can see here is that the sales from January through August that is grayed out, right? I'm looking at the demand forecast for the retail channel. So these are all retail sales for which I can choose the relevant store where I'm selling. So for example, if I look at total Australia, this will break down my stores into all these stores across New South Wales, across Western Australia, across Victoria as well. So right now I'm trying to create a bottom-up forecast of my demand, which I would sell in the retail channel for the Hornsby Westfield. And once I apply it, it renders the information based on all the products that I sell at the Hornsby Westfield store for the retail channel. Say, for example, I change the store instead of Hornsby Westfield. Say, for example, I choose Macquarie Shopping Center. This will dynamically change the product list because these are the only products that I sell at Macquarie Shopping Center. So what this means is that based on your setup of the products which are sold in the stores based on this online channel, we will set these templates will be set up and they will show that relevant information. So going back to the Hornsby Westfield store, for every product, I can choose different projection assumptions. So I'm looking at only the exponential smoothing algorithms. For example, 3, 6, 9, 12. As an example, 9-month rolling will take the immediate 9-month prior number, average it out. Right? Because of COVID, all the data has been quite different. So I will choose a more frequent smoothing exponential algorithms. And then I can select different projection assumptions for different products, but I can also drag the same across all the products. I can put an upside or a downside. I won't go much into that. And once I save this information, what it does is it creates a very detailed bottom-up forecast of my demand based on 3 months rolling average for all the products that I sell at Hornsby Westfield for the retail channel. So this is an example of a bottom-up forecast based on historical information. What I can also do is I can have another rendition of the template where I will show you how I can use statistical forecasting methods like linear regression, autoregressive moving averages based on historical demands of my sales. So essentially now I have transposed the view into another format where I'm looking at all the stores within New South Wales. And in the point of view, I am looking at individual items. So for example, if I want to have very detailed forecasts by the individual items, I can use this particular template to it. I can keep forecasting for different stores within the states. For example, if I want to look at forecasting the retail sales for all the stores in Victoria, I'll choose Victoria, and that would render this template for all the stores within Victoria, and then I can perform the same task. What I will do is that I'll navigate back to the New South Wales stores, which now renders all the stores and the historical sales within New South Wales. Can leverage historical data and execute statistical forecast by saying predictive planning. What the system does is it goes back in history. It picks up the forecast. It picks up the historical demands, which are essentially the values, the volumes of sales that has happened in the past, right? And this shows the trend. So if there is any particular seasonality pattern in that, it'll also show that up as well. So for example, when I'm looking at Castle Towers, so these are my historical sales that has happened, and there have been a slow increasing trend in my curve. So what this tells me is that this prediction is based on a 1.1% growth rate with seasonality. What I have here done is that the red one that I've created is based on my 3 months rolling average, which is a 35.7% growth rate because the adjustment factor was around like 15%. So with exponential smoothing, it's a bit of risk because it does not look into the history. But using this algorithm, this is based on seasonal multiplicative damp trend method. This is what the pattern of my historical sales tells me. The forecasted projection should be something in the blue line, which is the 1.1% growth rate, as you mentioned. If you go for a linear trend, it'll show a 6% growth rate. I can choose this predicted forecast in here, and I can wiggle it a bit. And you can see that this allows me to move within the best case forecast and the worst case of 2.5 to 97.5%. And within that forecast error range, I can still predict accurately 97% of the time. So once I save these assumptions, and I can execute a prediction for each and every combination of my stores, right? So I can choose this prediction to paste into the forecast, and that will update my forecast. As you can see that the forecast has got recalibrated based on damped trend seasonal multiplicative, 3.1% growth rate. I can save this information, and then it again multiplies with my price and recalibrates my gross margin analysis and my